Mahisasha Mardini, Part 3. The episode of Durga's triumph over evil is her defining moment, a myth so powerful that it has been celebrated in sculpture and painting for at least 2,000 years. Beyond moral victory, the multi-layered imagery of the myth has deeper and psychological, spiritual implications. As a metaphor, Mahisha represents more than anger. Whenever Durga attacks, the buffalo demon eludes her deadly blows by using the protective shield of his changing forms. Until he reveals his true form, he remains elusive and seemingly unconquerable. In the same way, human delusion dons an array of guises to mask and protect an ego ruled by attachment, aversion, and deep-seated fear. Personal demons will continue to bedevil in one form or another until recognized for what they are. Of course, Mahisha's unwillingness to reveal himself stems from a sense of self-preservation, and Durga forces the revelation by piercing his side with her spear, symbolizing the penetrating light of the higher knowledge. When Mahisha emerges in his true form, Durga decapitates him with her sword, a metaphor for viveka, the ability to discern between the apparent and the real, the transient and the eternal. This myth reveals an intimate connection between good and evil and the ego. The experience of duality and finite selfhood arises from moha, the limitation of consciousness. Without a non-dualistic understanding, the presence of evil in the world remains a vexing question. Some dualistic religions seek a solution by acknowledging God as the source of good and inventing a devil as the source of evil. But in doing so, they create the further problem of a diminished God who is no longer the supreme being, but one of two mutually limiting adversaries. The simple fact is that good and evil coexist in the relative world, and neither is possible without the other to define it. Practically and philosophically, evil is that which distances from the divine, and good is that which leads toward it. As for the ego, when the Devi enters into her creation to experience it as her own divine play, her infinite consciousness appears fragmented as finite centers in time and space that define everything in their experience in terms of I, me, and mine, and their negative corollaries. Inevitably, the interests of one ego clash with those of another, and the need arises for moral choices between divisive egocentrism and the uniting power of selfless love. Durga's slaying of Mahisasura symbolizes the conquest of ego-based attachment and all its consequent pain. No wonder Mahisasura's final expression, gazing up at his sword-wielding slayer, is one of rapt awe. In the eloquent, richly detailed Sakadistuti that follows, Indra and the other gods praise Durga's supremacy and transcendence before elaborating on the meaning of Mahisha's slaying, which centers on the salvific nature of the Devi's power and on her unconditional compassion. Her purpose is to preserve the moral order, and to that end she appears as good fortune in the dwellings of the virtuous and misfortune in the abodes of the wicked, granting abundant blessings and subduing misconduct. Ever intent on benevolence toward all, she reveals even her vast destructive power as ultimately compassionate. For in slaying the enemies of the world who may have committed enough evil to keep them long in torment, she redeems them with the purifying touch of her weapons, so that they may attain the higher worlds. Since good and evil exist only relative to each other, no evildoer meets with eternal damnation. In the end, all are assured of the Divine Mother's blessing.